big, exciting delizioso day in my kitchen. What are we making? It's going to be fried mozzarella sticks. Another term in Italiano is going to be fritto, which is fried, formaggio, cheese, or fritto mozzarella formaggio, so fried mozzarella cheese. Now let me tell you what we need to add to this. We want to add depth of flavor, right? We want to add some great cheese, right? We want a little bit of a rustic feel, a little bit old Italy, old Italiano, right? And what we also want is that crisp, that crunch. So when you bite into that, you want that beautiful texture that's going to go along with that goo of the cheese inside, right? I mean, doesn't everybody want that? That's the perfect cheese stick. So let's go over a cast of characters, okay? So number one, most important, you're going to do some mozzarella. So I don't want to buy a block of mozzarella and cut it up. I want to use cheese sticks. So there's nothing wrong with it. So if you want to just go get a pound of cheese sticks, unpeel them and then bread them, I'm totally okay with that, okay? This, what I find, is going to be a better quality. So I try to get a really good quality of mozzarella, and then we're going to cut it up. So whatever works for you is great. This is going to give you a better flavor, a depth of flavor, a little bit more goo, okay? So I got 1 pound of a block of fresh homemade mozzarella. Number two, we got about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of Italian breadcrumbs. To make life easy for your family, just grab yourself a really good quality Italian seasoned breadcrumbs, okay? Awesome. Now we want to add that crunch. So the breadcrumbs are going to be great, but how can we crunch it up a little bit? One, we're going to add about 1/4 cup of corn starch, and then we're going to add ourselves 1/4 cup of polenta, essentially cornmeal is what we're adding. Now why is that? That cornmeal is going to give you another layer of crunch. Now I like the rustic, I like a little bit bigger kernel grain, right? And that's going to give you a deeper, heavier crunch in that texture. Because again, I want crisp and I want crunch. Now we want to add depth and richness of flavor, okay? So I got 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. Oh, paprika's got that, it's like that smooth, really deep, rustic pepper, and phenomenal because it doesn't come out and bite at you, right? It's just, and it's not really even hot. It's just like that nice, smooth, smoky flavor of richness. Now we want to add a little bit of heat to this, and this right here, I've got 1/4 teaspoon of that red pepper flake. It's going to be ground up nice and small. Why? We don't want to add so much where you bite into it and it's like, you're getting that hot pepper hot. You won't get it with this little bit, okay? What you're going to get is just a little bit of heat. So you're going to get a little heat from the temp of the cheese, and then you're going to get a little bit of an extra heat from the pepperoncini, which is going to be fantastic. I've got right here 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic. Now, not garlic salt, granulated garlic. Now, why is that? If I put the fresh garlic in there, it'll burn in the hot oil and it'll get a little bit bitter. If I add the garlic salt, there's salt on almost everything on here, so if I add the salt, I can't control the salt. Sometimes it comes out a little salty. Now we're going to dredge the cheese, right? So we're going to get it wet, and we want something thicker of consistency so all of our breading sticks really well. So we're going to use 2 whole eggs, and then I've got about 1/3 cup of milk. So again, my advice, don't add water to anything. Always add flavor. So you can add chicken stock, you can add milk, you can add cream, but something that's going to give it some thickness, but also it's going to infuse flavor to your dish. We're going to want to add an herb in here. We're going to want to add some greens, some, a citrus and grassy flavor. Nothing's better than Italian flat parsley. So I grabbed myself a bunch of this, and you're probably going to end up with about 1 tablespoon of freshly chopped flat parsley. We're going to add it to our crumbs, and then we're going to hold back a little bit, and we're just going to finish off the dish when we plate it, okay? Now we also want some great dip for the cheese stick. So a lot of times people add like a red sauce or what have you. So we're going to do that, but we're going to add my favorite side dish of red sauce. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to hit that. What we're going to add here is 1/2 cup or a little bit fat. Again, it's Italian ingredients, you know what I mean? So whatever. But 1/2 cup fat of your red sauce. So whether you want to use a jar sauce, but you truly want a finished spaghetti sauce, okay? Then we're going to add here about 1/4 to 1/3 of mayonnaise. Right? Stay with me, bear with me, okay? And then we're going to add ourselves a big fat tablespoon of horseradish. So what you do is you mix all that together. Oh, okay? We're going to want some salt. As many of you guys know, I love either gray sea salt. It's a little brinier. I've got some great flake salt from Sicily. Today we're going to use some pink Himalayan. Why? Because it's sexy, and I like sexy salt. And it's going to give you a little bit more of an earthy flavor, which I love. And then we're going to want some fresh pepper, ground pepper, always and only the way to go. And then we're going to need some olive oil, guys. Now listen, quick plug. I own a farm in Italy, in Puglia, Italy, right above the heel, and we make our own olive oil over there, and we co-op with a whole group of farms to bring in what I think is really essentially some of the best olive oil you're ever going to put in your mouth. You know, it's grassy and earthy, and it's peppery on the back of the throat. It's great. It's just got that really true depth of flavor. It's all Italian olives. It's all pressed within a day. It all comes from Italy. Only way to go. And you guys can go right on our Facebook page, Cooking Italian with Joe, or our other page, Vito and Joe's Olive Oil, or right on our webpage, CookingItalianWithJoe.com, and just hit a buy it now button. We sell it in a large and small. We drop ship it right to your house. I call it a trip to Italy right in a bottle. All right, guys, I reviewed the cast for you. Let's get cooking. First thing we gotta do is we wanna get some oil going. So one of the other ingredients you're gonna need is probably about a quart, give or take, of oil. Now listen, I like to use the golden olive oil, so I'll use the non-extra virgin olive oil, and I'll use about 2/3 of the gold olive oil and about 1/3 of the green olive oil. The extra virgin, obviously, Vito and Joe's, best olive oil you can go with. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna give you a higher cooking temp, but it's also gonna ensure that the oil adds flavor. It doesn't add an oily base, right? It's gonna add flavor to your dish, okay? So I got that going right here. We're heating that right up. All right, first and fast, let's just mix our dry ingredients, and no real direct strategy there. I just wanna be able to clear up my table here, okay? So I've got a bowl. I'm gonna start putting all my dry ingredients in. So let's start with our breadcrumbs. So I just got myself a bowl, put my breadcrumbs in there, my 1/3 cup of cornmeal. Oh, that's good, smells good. Cornstarch, gonna add our crunch, granulated garlic, our paprika. Oh, I just had to take a smell. That is good. Pepperoncini, just a little dash. And then real simple, just take your fork and just give that a really good stir. Guys, I gave that a good stir. We're gonna add some salt now, my pink Himalayan, right? So I'm gonna add myself about a 1/2 teaspoon. And on our fresh ground pepper, same thing. We're gonna add a good 1/2 teaspoon or more of fresh ground pepper. And then lastly, give it another really good stir. So now last in our mix is parsley. So just cut out those stems if you're grabbing the fresh stuff. If you can. If you can't, then you're gonna get the dried parsley. Just remember, your dried ingredients are always more concentrated in flavor, so always go less in dry than you are in fresh. And then just take your herbs. What I like to do is just create a nice big old pile, get them all folded up in there, right? And then just start cutting. Parsley's cut up, so what I'm gonna do now is just take almost all of it, not all of it, but almost. Just save a little bit left over for your top, and then just fold that right in there. Next, let's get our moisture going, right? So I'm gonna add some milk, and then with the eggs, always crack your eggs over glass. That way if you get any shell in there, and I'm gonna pop this one in there, right? Oh, that's beautiful. Now, quick inspection, and then what I'll do is I'll get it broken up in the dish, and now I'm gonna add our egg to our milk, and then just give that a good stir. All right, guys, last but not least, our main character, right? The guy on the marquee is our mozzarella. So this is gonna be real easy. So simply cut it right in half, then cut that in half, right? And then fold them flat. And then same thing, right? You're gonna cut that in half, you're gonna cut that in half, and then cut that through. And there's your stick. Voila, beautiful or what? All right, guys, breadcrumbs are perfect. Our wet, our egg and milk is perfect. Sticks are mixed, everything's ready to go. So what I want to teach you right now is we don't want to bread them all ahead of time and then bring them over, because they'll start to sweat and you lose your ability to crunch. So essentially what we want to do is do everything right over the hot oil, so that as soon as it's breaded, we're going to dip it right in the hot oil. All right, guys, a couple of quick tips. One, I like to use a cast iron if you can with porcelain, and I like that white inside. What that allows you to do is you get to see how brown things are. If you do it in a black cast iron, sometimes it's tough to really get a determination of how well things are cooking. I also want something real quick and easy. I'm gonna do a plate with some paper towels. I've got my salt, pink Himalayan, sexy. So I'm just gonna pinch of salt when they come out. I want some kind of a tool to get them out of that hot oil to put them on the paper towels, okay? Something else that's really important to make these things come out great is if you subscribe to our channel. So there's a red button right down here in the left-hand corner. When you click that, any new recipes, any new trips, any new travel tips, blogging with Boreal, whatever we got going on, it'll come right to your notification box. And it means a lot to me when you subscribe to the channel, and hey, makes you part of the family, you know what I'm saying? Also in the interim here, I'm sure you guys have had plenty of time to go get yourself a bottle of olive oil. All right, done with the commercials. Let's get frying. Simplest way to get started here, I'm just gonna put everything right inside my milk and egg mixture. Give it a good stir. You want everything really wet with milk and egg. As soon as that's ready, coated nice and wet, you're gonna take that cheese stick, throw it right in your breadcrumbs, hit it, and give it a good coat, okay? Give it a good squeeze, don't be shy. Give it a shake. Look how beautiful that is. Right now we're gonna throw it right in our hot oil. And you can see the temp on that is just perfect, right? Now we're only talking a couple of minutes here, so look at that. Oh, now when you look at that, see how the cheese is oozing right out? She's done. So just pull her off to the side. How good does that look, right? So while those guys are cooling, let's just mix up some of our sauce. So I got my sauce, I've got my mayonnaise, and then I'm gonna take my horseradish, okay? Pop that right in there. Give it a good stir. And once it looks a little creamy, you know you're there. And now I'm gonna put that right in my ramekin. So I'm gonna put my ramekin right here on the plate. And then if you guys remember, I had some parsley left over. So I'm just hit a couple pieces of parsley. And then I'm just gonna hit a little bit on our fried sticks there, just to give it that beautiful flavor. Oh, I'll tell you the smell in here, unbelievable. All right guys, my favorite time. So crispy. Everything came out great. Make sure when you guys cook these, you know, do one or two at a time. You don't wanna do them all at once because they'll end up empty. You'll lose all that cheese. Let's just talk about the smell. You know, you got that garlic. You can smell the polenta, a little bit of that paprika, you know, the cheese. I'm gonna pop this puppy right in here. Oh yeah. First thing I hit you is that sauce with the horseradish. And then right away you got the crunch. And it's crisp and crunchy because of that polenta, right? Because of that cornmeal and the cornstarch. And then you get that cheese. And you get like a pinch of the heat, the garlic, all those beautiful flavors of Italy from the breadcrumbs. Oh yeah, another one of them babies. You know, they're warm so that mozzarella is still gooey. And what's great is it marries those flavors in your mouth. So the mozzarella gets the pepper and the paprika and the garlic and the salt and the pepper. Now that's a fried mozzarella stick, you know what I'm saying? Cooking Italian with Joe style. Okay, thanks for joining me in the kitchen and having some fun today. You know, it was fun on a Sunday, right? Remember to hit that subscribe button, make you part of the family, jump online, grab yourself some bottles of olive oil on our Facebook or on our website, Cooking Italian with Joe. Drop ship it right to your house, and it's a trip to Italy right in a bottle. And remember, once a week, and shut the TV off, and shut the phone off, and shut the computer off, and get around the, you know, the countertop here, around the kitchen table, and you know, I always say make a mess and tell stories and celebrate your heritage, right? And set some traditions last your lifetime with your family. I know they certainly did for me. Till next week, mwah, buon appetito.